cleanly struck. Greetings, my name is Michael Miller. This is a Michael Miller trademark training video live on YouTube. Out to you because you're watching, thank you. And it's meant for Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates, the Cornu Core, anyone interested in surviving as a Pilates instructor, and anyone interested in core new tension and how they move or the movement they teach beyond Pilates. Five things today. The one title is Get in Line. Get in line. Get in line. But get in line. I mean, living, not counting spaces, characters, but get in line, right? And I'm seeing a lot of that in my exposure in social media, and by get in line I mean pay attention to how many generations you are away from Joe. Please, if you run that kind of an ad and everyone in the line is wearing clothes but Joe, take a picture of him or use a picture of him in similar attire, in a similar circumstance. But that's just me speaking up for the man. Get in line. And you know that in MMP, the view is an ideal one. And so to the extent that you connect to the ideal, it puts you in connection directly with the human and their method. Human being came up with this choreography and wrote those words to condition the human being. So part of the get in line is when you see so much of the 10,000 views of Pilates, it's easy to get confused or distracted or angry or feel inferior or defensive or all kinds of emotions, because Pilates goes through a constant stage of its own in terms of what we're looking at and what the curtain is, and that's life and human nature and perception and observation. So my number two, other than getting in line, right, is that when you know yourself as a teacher and you know what you're teaching, right, let that be your focus. Even if it's ignorant of MMP and CT and all that, you get to a point where, like the one instructor I interacted with said, well, I'm fine and my students all love me, but the method itself is molding, spoiling, molding. My point about the emotions that are caused by the way Pilates is being represented and being taught and what's being paid attention to and not. All of that can be very distressing for something that you care a lot about and you care deeply for. You care a lot about it, and caring goes deep. All I could say is the molding or the spoiling of whatever you consider Pilates to have been, if you think its change is going downhill rather than uphill, in whatever direction it is and however it changes, And whatever influences the changes, I say hang your hat on your own hook. And from my perspective, that means that my view of MMP as an ideal is what matters to me, and where I teach from, and how I try to instruct is toward that ideal in the moment of the doing, and in the empowerment of autonomy in the effort. You know, enable your student. Now those right there are really big differentiations that are easy to point to and tough to decide where you stand on. But number 2 is mind your own business. Mind your own business. There's 3 more words, right? Get in line at, well, 4 words. Mind your own business. But similarly short and direct and to the point. Mind your own business. And I think that's part of maintaining your focus as a Pilates instructor, is knowing your business, knowing what your participation is in that business, and then letting that be what you mind, regardless of whatever else you witness, that you might evaluate as spoiling, or aging, or molding, or exploring new life. I don't know how you want to say that. So as a 3 in the text coming up in Facebook, the 3 lines are mind your own business, know your own business. So like, know your business. And that's what all of us want, I think. And for me, especially everybody, as a Pilates instructor, it's like, well, who am I? And what does that mean? And how do I participate in that? And how do I stay confident in that, in spite of the fact that a popularity wave or a level of interest is somewhere else other than intense and hot in the moment for Pilates? And so that the 3rd line is be about your business, which is what we all want to do anyway, right? You walk in and everything's all taken care of and we get to teach whatever schedule we can imagine. And then have the lunch that we want and the dinner that we want and whatever the world that we want within Pilates. Know that being about your business matters more than whatever influences distort what you know of as Pilates. For me, that's an ideal, which is ideal, because if there's an ideal, it has a presence and an existence of its own. And claiming allegiance to or affiliation to the ideal within Joe's work, at least gives you a place to stand on in the constantly changing 10,000 views of Pilates. See, that's why. Number 3. There will always be the new next thing. The new next thing. And as we talked before about entertainment, and if it's not entertaining, it loses a lot of its luster for everyone concerned. And so it's constantly a pressure for something new because something is always entertaining. Number 4, are you ready to go beyond what you already know? Because sometimes we're in a comfortable place and we really don't want anything other than reinforcement to our view of whatever it is we're viewing. Okay? And so the new next thing is interesting in words because there's entertainment value, and what is the new next thing? Because I'm up for that. I want it new, and I want it to be the next. Somewhere along the time span, core attention and Michael Miller Pilates will be the new next thing. But even after it comes and goes as the new next thing, it will attract students who like to dive deep into their concentration and will hold on to those who like going to depth in their effort. So, hold on. So number 5, I think these all were in order from my workout. This thing about going deep, it's like a metaphor for free diving and how deep can you go on your own lungs. And no matter how deep you go, you come back up to the surface to survive. And I look at concentration as a dive into the depths of your concentration. And as an instructor, you're Yoda pointing them into the cave of that dive. You want to keep them safe while they're diving, and you want to be ready for them to help them recover from that dive and prepare and enter the next dive, the next exercise. Okay? So, number 5 is that it's not the repetitions that you do, it's the depth that you get to in the repetitions that you do. So it's not about the number of reps, it's how good a dive did you make, how focused were you able to perform the exercise before having to move on to what comes next. Because to me, it's not the physical endurance or the thinking of the mind that determines flow of performance. Now, breath has a lot to do with it, of course, and is the metronome. But the depth of the dive, I think, in terms of repetitions, which is different than breath in some cases, a lot of cases, but that the depth of the concentration plays into when to move on to what's next. And so, in my practice, when I'm doing an exercise, if I have gotten into it, meaning I'm working to coordinate body, mind, and spirit, having gotten some of that, if my mind breaks in or my thinking takes over about how many reps was that or what's just, if I lose, what I want to say is if I lose the complete coordination of the 3 capacities in the exercise that I'm doing, I release that effort and regather myself to enter the next exercise looking for the same thing. So it's not about the repetitions that you do, but the depth that you get to in doing them. Okay? And that was all 5. And my takeaway seems to be the word depth. In that the allure of someone else inviting you to get in line for a distinction is a good thing. Knowing your own business and then minding your own business, and being about your business. I like that. Being about your business. Be about your business. That's saying exist about your business. And maybe that's all wordplay. To be a Pilates instructor, especially the more you see, that's the thing. And maybe I'm talking to you in particular. When you see the method diminishing around you, all you can do is be about your business. Right? And my factor, pokes me in the ribs and say, and the best way to be about your business is to associate with the ideal, the trademark, based on the ideal within Joe's work. Because as an association to brand, it is universal to all. Not that all will like it or accept it or want to be involved in it, but that in its ideal nature, so life can't live forever. Life can't live forever. A dear friend of mine suffered a loss recently and unexpectedly, and I talked so much and so long the last couple episodes because there's always that reminder that life can't live forever. So you read between the lines, and I say what I can while I can to be as constructive as I can for you to understand the ideal within Joe's work, Joe's ideal, Joe's thing. I'm just pointing to it, and it's there for you to see as obviously as I see after a lifetime of looking at it. Read between the lines, see behind the curtain. Add 2 and 2. Add 2 and 2. Add 2 and 2. Don't be distracted from what you have confidence in from your own experience as an instructor. And from my point of view, from your understanding that an ideal exists out there in the world of Pilates, and that aristocratic whim is not the only view of what it is. Pilates, the method. And for all that it's influenced and represented, and for all of the 10,000 views, one of the views to be familiar with is MMP. Direct your own thinking. And Geist.